that we know. She has over 5 books published. She's actually done a TEDx as well. Her entire career, she's delegated basically to the nurse-to-nurse, charting the outcomes of healthcare. So without further ado, I would actually like to bring up Kathleen Bartholomew to lead our next presentation.
Hello, everyone. It's really an honor to be here and be a part of something that's so much bigger than ourselves, isn't it? I mean, I just am so inspired by all of you. You're so genuine, and you cross party lines, you cross educational, you cross everything to be here and do what's right for the patient when no one else is. There's nobody protecting the patient. I'm just so proud. So proud to be a part of this. I'd like to start with just a little personal note. I wish I could stand here and tell you that I chose nursing, but I didn't. In 1991, my husband walked into the kitchen, poured himself a cup of coffee, and then said, I took a job in San Francisco. I'm leaving on a 6 p.m. flight. You can come with the kids if you want. That ended 2 years of marriage counseling. Then 2 days later, I walk into my job at a telephone answering service, and there's my boss, Linda, with tears, just streaming down her face, mascara running down her face. I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm so sorry you don't have a job anymore. The treasurer embezzled all the funds, and I can't even pay for the days you've worked this week. I did what all women do. I went home and called my best friend, and she said, you know, my parents have a cabin up in Canada. Let's just go there. I thought escape sounded like a great plan. I went to my office to clean out my desk, and one of the regular customers came up and he said, what's wrong? You seem upset. I tried to wave him off, but he just pressed, what's wrong? Finally, I told him the truth. My worst fear just came true. I'm going to be the single mother of 5 children under the age of 11, and I'm living 3,000 miles away from my nearest relative. And immediately he reached into his back pocket and he took out a checkbook and wrote a check, and I'm thinking, what is this guy doing? And he writes a check to a guy named Miles, shoves it into my hand and says, you're going to need a good attorney. And I'm thinking, just like a man to be practical. I could have stayed in my state of denial for a very long time. I tried to give it back to him, but refused. Instead, we threw my 5 children in the car, Kim's 3 children, borrowed 2 of the neighbors to make it even, and headed north. 6 days later, when I came back, after it was pouring rain in the cabin and no fun, I could not believe my eyes as I drove up to my house. While I was gone, there had been a freak windstorm. The 110-foot pine tree that sat on our front lawn had fallen on the house. It had taken off the front porch. I couldn't get in the car into the driveway, but something bothered me worse than that. It was something white on the front door, a foreclosure notice from the bank. In less than 2 weeks, I had lost my relationship, my job, and my home. I can still remember standing in the middle of 62nd Street, looking to the left and the right for the locust, which I'm sure we're going to come any moment. Eventually, I made my way down to the lawyer's office when nothing changed about 2 or 3 weeks later. When I opened the door, he bellowed, come in! And his very next words were, how are you going to take care of those 5 children Bob says you have? I don't know. Do you like nursing? Nursing? I was a candy striker when I was 12 and 12 and a half. He said, I'll tell you what. And he reaches down, takes a leather Bible, puts it on the corner of his desk and says, if you put your hand on this Bible and swear to me that you'll become a nurse, I'll give your whole divorce for nothing. Just that check Bob gave you. And I knew a deal when I saw one. I put my hand on that Bible and I swore that I'd become a nurse. Whatever that was. It took me 3 years. There was a 3-year waiting list in Seattle, and I thought, I don't have 3 years. I'm 36 years old and I've got 5 kids. I don't have 3 years. So I threw all the kids into the car, camped across the United States, and my aunt was a professor of nursing in Greensboro. She said there's a 2-year college, because I already had a 4-year degree, but it was worthless. courses in liberal science. There's a 2-year college in the middle of nowhere. I'm sure you can get into it. She was right. So we lived in a 500 square foot trailer, and I drove to work, and like almost 100 miles every day. It was 40 miles to work, then to school, then 30 miles to work, and then 20 miles home. And during the entire graduation ceremony, I have to tell you, I used to put tissues with everybody on the stage. They weren't tears of joy, they were tears of relief that the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life was finally over. So the reason I have a picture of the stage up here is because when I went into my first nursing position at the small community hospital, I had no idea what it was going to be like, and it did feel like coming onto a show where all the actors knew what the rules were, but I didn't. My very first day, the charge nurse looked at me when I went for the interview and she said, "You look nice." And I thought, what is this, a Southern thing? I said, "I don't know how to respond to what you said with your mouth or your face." And she just walked away. And the doctors, they were intimidating, and the nurses would pretty much tremble with fear to call, a couple of them. And I was like, what is this show? I don't understand this. I worked way too hard to get here, right? Way too hard. So when the intimidating 6'4" surgeon finally bellowed, "You, come here," I tried to think quickly of something to do. I saw a chair, I pulled it over, I stood on top of the chair, looked down at him and said, "How may I help you?" I wasn't going to put up with that, right? I worked for a few years in a community hospital, and I thought there's just some nurses that you like to work with and some that you don't. There were some nurses that were awesome. And I did what everybody does. I migrate to the people that you feel accept you and feel where you belong, right? And then I moved back to Seattle, a per diem position in a real hospital. I learned very quickly that you have to get there at least 15 minutes before your shift, because there were some floors I would never go back to again. And it certainly wasn't because of the patients. As soon as the nurses had seen the whites of the float nurse's eyes, I'd been given every patient who had 4-point leather restraints of I will go lightly or both. So I made a mental note of which floors those were, and I decided I was going to go to neuro, because the neuro nurses were amazing. I didn't have any great love of neuro, but I had a great love of those nursing. The collegiality was amazing. It was just amazing. I felt so supported every minute of every day, and I could have stayed there forever. But my food bill, boy, that was growing faster as the children got into their teenage years. So I took a position as supervisor of orthopedics, and those nurses had strong personalities. After a couple months, suddenly there was a massive reorganization, and now I am first in line for manager of the orthopedic and spine unit, 115 employees. Of course, I applied for the job and get it because no one else applied. But I can still remember the director shaking her finger in my face saying, "Remember, all of these 113 people work under your license." And I thought, how am I ever going to be able to monitor the quality of care that people receive 24 hours a day when I'm not even there, right? I can't do that. I called my aunt and she said, "You just take care of the nurses. The nurses will know what to do. They'll take care of the patients." And I thought, wow, that sounds very naive. But she was right. You see, only 2 months into my tenure as manager, one day I come in and there's a crash cart next to room 64. Patient found with an oxygen saturation of only 52%. And oxygen changes of the brain that are so severe they're in the ICU. Even on a full rebreather mask, the patient can't talk. She can't even talk in a sentence. I grab the pain machine, the PCA, I bring it down, I open it up to find the manager's worst nightmare. It's programmed for morphine, but inside is a syringe of Dilaudid. Just then, the new nurse, who had been with us for a year, opens the door. I don't have to say anything. She takes one look at the syringe and then mumbles something under her breath and bursts into tears. It took me 45 minutes to calm her down, to review the policy, etc. And finally I said, "What did you mean? What did you mumble under your breath when you came into my office?" Her eyes shot down to the floor. "I was 7 or 8 minutes late for the shift last night. As soon as I came around the nursing station, there was a group of nurses talking, and as soon as they saw me, all the conversation stopped. I don't mean to be paranoid, but it didn't pick up again. I went into the ladies' room. You can hear from there, you know. Aggie said, "She'll never make a good nurse, will she?" And somebody's voice, who I didn't recognize, responded, "She just doesn't have what it takes, does she?" I let those words destroy me. This is all my fault. And it didn't matter what I said to that nurse. She transferred off my unit to the first place anywhere in the hospital. And that was the moment that I knew my aunt was right. We can't possibly protect the patients unless we protect each other. Research in the Harvard Business Review shows that simply witnessing any rude behavior in the workplace, quote, significantly impairs our ability to perform cognitive tasks. I drew a line in the sand. I explained to all the nurses how these behaviors, anything, was going to hurt the patients. I listened to change of shift, and I heard people say things to each other like, "I hate to follow her, she left the IV bag dry again. Did you hear who made another med error? I'm changing my weekend, so stop." Our focus, our priority, our ethic, responsibility is definitely the patient. So we worked really hard to create a culture where we could support and nurture and care for each other. And we did. And we did. It was wonderful. It was really a great place to work. And so I took all that I learned about creating a good culture, and I started talking to boards around the country and hospital leaders around the country. I was asked to come to Tennessee because 6 patients had died in the last year alone. 6. 2 of them due to falls. Every time I do a board retreat, I'm going to go into the hospital and I'm going to play secret shopper. The day before, I just walk through the hospital and I talk to anybody who I want to. So I'm walking through the hospital and I see a 30-bed unit and 28 fall precaution signs. Pretty good bet they fell here, huh? The ratio is 1 nursing assistant has 15 patients. There are 22 turning schedules on the unit. Each med-surg nurse has 8. They're staffing at the 25th percentile. It's as clear as day that these patients are dying because of staffing. At the board retreat, I report my findings to the board. And what does the board do with these critical findings? Nothing. And there's nobody to make them do anything about it either. And that's the reason why each and every one of you are here. Right? Right. I'm walking up on the floor one day. So I'm on this unit, and I say to one nurse, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And she said, "Sure." And I said, "How long have you worked here?" 27 years. "Let's go into the break room." So we go into the break room. I said, "Do you know why I'm here?" And she said, "No." I said, "Oh, well, I'm here because 6 patients died in your system." She goes, "Oh." I said, "Can you think of a medical error that happened on your floor or an adverse event?" "No." "Anything anywhere?" "No." And I said, "But I'm here because 6 patients died," and that's when she reached over and took my arm in hers and started patting my hand as she said these words, "Ah, honey, you gotta expect some harm. After all, we're only human." This hospital had every patient flavor of the month, right? Every safety thing that you could have. From those special socks to the colored bags to the barcoding to the passports to surgery, but they hadn't changed one thing, the belief the nurses had. And I tried to explain to them that the nurses had gotten into such a pattern because they were so frantic because they were trying to do their jobs, that the 2 or 3 nurses that I said, "Why is this patient a fall risk?" said, "What? I don't know. They just are." Why? Because they didn't have time. They were focused on task after task after task. What do we know about a hospital nurse, for example? We know that they have 7 or 8 items stacked at any given time. They do 160 tasks in an 8-hour shift. No task lasts longer than 2 minutes and 45 seconds. These are terrible statistics. It's terrible to expect anybody to do this. But then patient safety came home. You would think that you could keep your own child safe in your own hospital, wouldn't you? To me, there's only one test of patient safety, and it's this. If your cell phone went off right now, and the person who you love most in this entire world was admitted to the place where you work, can anyone take care of them? Can any nurse, any CNA, any doctor? Because when the answer to that is yes, then we will have created the safety net that can protect our patients. So this is Tim. Tim's just fooling around at high school one day. They're just playing, wrestling on the front lawn, and one of the kids stands up suddenly, and Tim flies off of his back, cracks his shoulder. They hear it like a baseball bat. His pain's a 9 out of 10. They take him to the emergency room. But they don't find anything. They just say, follow up with your regular physician. He follows up with 1, 2, 3, 4, the best orthopedic surgeons I know. They say, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? They all say the same thing, and they all ignored what Timothy said. But my scapula is sticking out a half an inch, and it's dropped down, and my fingers are numb. Didn't matter, he could do all those exercises, right? A year later, because Tim refused to go to the 5th doctor, I get a phone call. Tim has finally made it to college. And you know what? He had a 0.6 GPA his junior year of high school. Did you know it could go that low? So with enough bribery, we got him to a community college. This was a huge success, right? And he says to me, Mom, my right arm is ice cold and it's turned blue. What do I do? I'm frantic. I immediately imagine him without an arm. Worst case scenario, right? I'm not an ER nurse. And so I say, get to the next emergency room. They do a Doppler, they do a study, can't find anything. They put his arm in a sling, hand him some pain pills, and send him home. Are you kidding me? Right? So finally I go to the physician who I know, I respect, who listens, and he listens to Tim. He said to Tim, how did they do your Doppler study? And Tim says, well, they just put some gel right here and they put a wand here. So he sends him for another Doppler study, and they find a 10-centimeter blood clot in the subclavian vein. Right? The doctor writes the first order, absolutely no blood pressure in right arm. The nurse comes into the room, she puts the sign up on the bed, no blood pressure in right arm. And as I go into the bathroom and I'm coming out, I see the nursing assistant has already wrapped the blood pressure cuff around Tim's right arm. Luckily, I decided to use the bathroom in the room, because if I didn't, who knows what would happen. I lost all my trust. I look out the door and there's 3 isolation carts. Great, great. That's great. You know, we have to bring patient safety home. And there's only one question, and that is, including for staffing for the unit, if there's somebody who you would not let take care of your loved one, then you need to have a conversation with them about your concerns. Right? That's the one question. And when we staff, we would staff as if any of these patients are our family members. And we don't know which one because they are our family members, right? We took an ethical oath to first do no harm. The more I learned about the culture, the more surprised I was. Because I had come to nursing later in life. One day I was doing a workshop, and I said to the nurses in the room, see this white piece of paper here? Imagine this white piece of paper represents the nursing profession, and I draw a line on the bottom. What's that line? And one nurse in the first row says, skilled nursing. I draw another line, rehab, another line. They're all answering medical, surgical, tele, L&D, ER, OR. What's at the top? Oh, now they're not answering me. I said, what's at the top? They refused to answer me. I said, you are, and you know it. Now, like, you might be the best ICU nurse in the entire world, but if I'm in a skilled nursing facility or a rehab clinic, I don't need somebody who can run her 8 or 9 pumps. I need somebody who has 8 or 9 months to stay with me until I can swallow for the very first time, to lift up my foot to remember if my brain is gifford mush, right? I need the best rehab nurse in the entire world. Where did that come from? It's the same thing's true from the hospital. You go into any hospital and you do the same exercise and you say, if it represents all the personnel in the hospital, who's the first line? And they always say, housekeeping. After housekeeping is the cafeteria. nursing assistants, lab, nursing assistants, 2-year nurses, 3-year nurses, 4-year nurses, CRNAs who think they're not nurses, advanced nurse practitioners. You know, it goes on, right? So the reason that I'm making this point is because it's the most important point it's the most important block to anything in patient safety. This is called a hierarchy. And it is the subtle, subtle thing that directs all of our behaviors in the workplace. I'm working in Sacramento last month. I go in and I collect all the stories. I'm a story collector. I love stories. They have so much information. And I watch what happens. You see the nurse is complaining because she called the nurse practitioner at 6:55 in the morning, and the nurse practitioner said, "What are you calling me for? Couldn't you wait 5 more minutes and call the doctor?" So what do you think she does? She goes and tells the LVN, "Take the blood pressure again," in a harsh tone of voice. The LVN goes into the room and she takes the blood pressure again. She sees the urinal has 900 cc's of urine in it. So she walks a full city block down to the nursing station to tell the nursing assistant to empty the urinal, because it's not her job. Pecking order. There is no pecking order when it comes to our patients. I don't care if you're the best surgeon in the entire world. You can't keep, your patient's going to die if I put them into a MRSA-infected room. I don't care if you're the best nurse in the world. If dietary messes up and accidentally puts crackers and the patient chokes to death, which are both true situations from that hospital, right? We need everybody on the team. We need everybody to know that they are valuable and that they matter. To be inclusive. And how we let people know they matter is what? We know their name. We speak to them. Because many of the speakers before you, somebody mentioned about getting the feeling. You know you're not wanted if you just walk in the room. People can make you feel less than. Not direct eye contact, roll in the eyes, etc., etc. There was a researcher named Paulo Freire, and he wanted to know what happens to groups of human beings when some have more power than the other. I was very interested in his answer. He was in the northern hemisphere in Europe, and he studied all the colonies that they had colonized in the southern hemisphere. And what he found out was that the dominant group had so much power that it directed the power downward. The oppressed group, who didn't have power, couldn't direct its power upward, so they unconsciously started attacking each other. Both groups had different values, the dominant group or the oppressed group. In healthcare, the dominant group is the people with the money, right? Who tell us what we can have and what we cannot have. And what they value is money, because if without it, the current system is built the way it is built, they need the money, right? And what do we value? The reason you're here, the patient, time with the patient, your relationship with your patient, the healing bond that you have with your patient, right? I didn't know what nursing was. It was a full year. It took me to figure it out. One day I was washing an elderly patient's back and suddenly he burst into tears and I jumped back. "Did I hurt you?" I said. No, he said gruffly, "Go on, go on." So I give him the tissues and I come back and I'm rinsing his back now, and that's when he softly says, "I'm so sorry. You see, my wife died 22 years ago, and it's just that no one has touched my back since that day." That is the moment I knew what nursing was. There was something absolutely sacred about that moment. I knew what any nurse would do, and it wasn't in any book. "What was her name?" "Marta." "Tell me all about Marta." He tells me what she planted in the garden, why she loved the rain. It's the longest bath I've ever given, and it's nowhere in my charting. Right? Likewise, in the American Journal of Nursing, there was a nurse who noticed one day that the couple that had been in counseling because the baby was dying of birth defects, as the shift went on, they were more and more agitated. He went up to the father and he said, "Can I help you? What's going on?" And the father said, "We're at peace with our baby dying, but our religion is really causing great stress. You see, we believe that if our baby dies in this hospital, his soul will be stuck here for all eternity." And that nurse called the janitor, opened the stairwell, put out 3 chairs, and the father and the mother, and I believe the janitor even sat with them until the baby died with his soul released to the heavens. What's the billing code in our system for a free soul? How much would you charge for an old man's grief? When every single solitary day, the things that you value, that you know that you do, that have made a tremendous difference in other people's lives are free, like pennies on a convenience store counter, we start to devalue them ourselves. You see, this power dynamic is very important. It's not just about overpowering other people. We live in a society that values science over art, money over care, etc. It's this dichotomy in values that is at the bottom of everything. And so we travel in a school of fish to stay safe. I'll give you some examples of that. But the most important thing, of course, is the patient, every time. Martin Luther King said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." What a powerful statement. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. I did a study of over 6,000 nurses, every department, every part of the United States. I only asked them one question. If I could give you a written guarantee that the conversation would turn out exactly the way you had hoped, is there somebody you would take this guarantee and go have a conversation with in your workplace? And 99% of them said yes. Wow. I thought that was profound. It's called self-silencing. So I said, imagine the person you have to talk to is sitting next to you right now, and you're going to have a conversation with them anyway. How would you rate that on a pain scale from 0 to 10? And more than 60% of the nurses said it was an 8, 9, or 10. So then I asked them, why? Why aren't you speaking up? Why aren't you talking? And no matter where I went, the answers were exactly the same, and they never changed. Fear of retaliation. What does retaliation look like? Somebody refusing to help me? A bad assignment? Not getting my vacation day? Fear of hurting the relation? Feelings? Fear of gossip? Scapegoating? No time? Why bother? Nothing's going to change anywhere? Way? Or fear of being isolated from the group? What's the word that we see up here again and again and again? Fear. Wow. Fear. How is that possible? Our collective power starts with our individual power. Our individual power is in those moments. If I could summarize in one sentence after traveling the entire United States and teaching for 15 years, what I have learned, it would be that power is the same thing as voice, which is the same thing as self-esteem. When we stand in our voice, when we can say something to you, we're equal. Okay? That's what our power is. And that's where we have to start with protecting the patient. I'm going to describe something, and I was wondering if you could tell me what I am describing. Experiences mental and physical stress, demonstrates compassion, altruism, uses nonverbal gestures and context, shows emotions of happiness, sadness, grief, fear, despair, and a sense of humor, and recognizes the self. These are the words that Jane Goodall used to describe her chimps. And then Jane was asked, well, if that's what describes the chimps that you work with, what makes us human? And she said, only communication. Well, it's not like these animals can't communicate to each other, but as the neuroscientists have observed, quote, you will never see 2 chimps carrying a log. They can't communicate to each other an idea of something that does not yet exist and then make it happen. Like, let's go to the moon. Let's build a new building. Let's get ratios to keep our patients safe. Right? So I learned something about human beings. I learned, and I was never taught this, that we're social animals, that the most important thing in the entire world is to belong. But as long as we're self-silencing, researchers found out we're staying in the school of fish and we're keeping safe. The whole reason all those answers were up there is because, as you heard from other speakers before me today, they happened, right? That happened to them. It's not like they just said, oh, let me think of something. No, what they thought it was the last experience that they had. And then they decided, you know what? It's not worth it. She's going to retire in 6 months. That's just the way he is. She forgot her other thing. Whatever the reason is. Some of those resonate. So, but humans can be so much more. We're not taught that we're social animals. We're taught to talk about our feelings as a sign of weakness. But I was never taught that I would need as much strength and courage as I have seen is required of nurses. It's just not easy to stand next to a mother who's It's not easy to stand next to a mom. It's not easy to be with the patient after the doctor has walked out and told the patient that the cancer is not in remission. It's not easy after they blurt the news that the surgery wasn't successful to go into the room and to deal with the sobs. These things are very difficult, and they take a lot of strength. It's certainly not easy to be an emergency room nurse. It's not easy to do it at all, but we do. We do it all the time. Well, we failed at one thing, and that is keeping our patients safe. What you see on the screen is a Mercator projection. Every single solitary yellow dot is actually an airplane. In the United States, 32,500 planes fly over that are just commercial airplanes every single solitary day. That's 65,000 human beings who could make a mistake, have a bad day. Somebody could upset them. They might have gotten bad news, etc., right? But yet this industry can go an entire 10 years and nobody is hurt. By the way, do you know how many times a day somebody rings their call light? A day. And says, if there's a nurse or physician on board, would you please ring your call light? An average of 54 times every day. Every day. And it's always after you drink the wine, isn't it? Right? So we can learn just a few things from aviation because they learn things the hard way. But you see, in Tenerife, when Pan Am and KLM crashed, there were 532 body bags on the runway. And yet every single solitary day in healthcare, the equivalent of 3 737s crashing with our patients because we haven't been able to keep them safe. Happens every single solitary day, and the public is not up in arms. In aviation, it used to be a fear-based culture. The captain was the boss, and what he said went. They weren't encouraged to speak up. They didn't have practiced communication. You knew what your rank was, that's for sure, right? And you had to get the plane there on time no matter what. But they changed all of these. And an example would be when I was flying with Tim. Talk about putting your life in somebody else's hands. Now Tim's a pilot, right? It's my very first time up in the plane with Tim, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death. So I'm looking at all the gauges, and I'm thinking, is this right? Does it remember? I'm trying to remember what they look like. And after about 20 minutes, I say, are you sure this needle's supposed to be here? And without saying a word, he leans over and says, yes, that's exactly where it should be, but if you see anything else you're concerned about, don't hesitate to speak up. What? Is this my son? Like, can we just always talk in the air and never have a conversation on the ground again? Right? Because he's been trained, right? He's been trained to what? To take it seriously, right? To open every single solitary resource that he has. So what do we know about aviation right now? We know that nurses with overtime are 3 times likely to make a There's 2 million adverse drug effects, equaling 100,000 deaths. 64% of pharmacists and 34% of nurses would rather assume the order was right rather than call a doctor who was intimidating. But look what aviation did. Was this a miracle on the Hudson? No, it's not a miracle. They trained for it, and any pilot, as Sully will tell you, any pilot could have done it. They all knew, yes, the wheels had to be up, not down. They all knew that angle. But when they had trained for this and when they had practiced for it, they could handle it, and the result was 140 souls that lived. What I find the most interesting about this is how many times are we told to wear our life vest? Finally, they land on water and not a single person has it on. I don't know. So the word dauntless, what does that mean? It means to be bold, intrepid, courageous, right? To be somebody who has convictions. So in order to change healthcare, I take it down to a very personal level. We have to break from the pack and do what's right, which many of you are doing right now and have done, and stories of which we've heard all day long. We have to take some risks and have the conversations that before might have gotten us in trouble or not been worth it. Have those difficult conversations with anyone who we would not let take care of our loved one. You know, I'm in California. An 18-year-old has coded on the table. The doctor was reaching for 10 cc's of Toradol and instead he grabbed the epinephrine. He gave that 18-year-old 10 cc's of epi. It was a sloppy code. They had never had one before in the surgery center that did 22,000 patients. I came down there as part of the settlement. They were lucky to get the kid back. But I had to teach communication, high reliability, teamwork, right? I finished teaching and I'm ready to leave, and one of the nurses taps me on the shoulder to tell me, quote, the real story. The entire time that doctor was reaching for, drawing up, and administering the epinephrine, he was on his cell phone talking to his stockbroker. Are cell phones allowed in emergency room and operating rooms? Are they there though in many places? Yes. They are, and on the floor, too. It's tough. We've got a culture where people are used to having cell phones, right? And you know, I walk into one hospital, the chief nurse says we've had 2 patients. One died from falls. I'm going to have to run a fall initiative. And I'm like, oh gosh, please don't. I'm so tired of those initiatives. They're always top down. There's always some more work for us to do. Just let me walk around your hospital. So I walk around the hospital, and what do you think I see? Every time a nurse says 2 seconds, she pulls out her phone. Oh, you see those DSW shoes? Yeah, they're on sale now. What, you want chicken for dinner? Or to check Facebook, right? We have to decide. If we have a policy that cell phones are supposed to be in the locker, then they should be in the locker. And you check them at break, and don't tell me your children won't live. I have 5 children. They know where to reach you, believe me. Right? But either it's a policy or it's not. And what happens if you decide to be the person who speaks up and says something about it? Suddenly you're like voted out of the pack, off the island. Off the island, right? That's how we push each other up. You see, the need for us to belong is so strong. I was in a store once, and as soon as I opened the door, I heard this little 6-year-old wailing. Her voice went up and down. Up and down. I was like, gosh, she's so dramatic. We're at the checkouts down counter now, and I'm standing next to the mother and the little girl. And I looked at the mother and I said, too much TV? And the mother goes, oh no, 1st grade, watch this. She bends down, she looks into her daughter's eyes and says, Peggy, use words, Peggy. And that's when her song had lyrics. They don't like me. Nobody will play with me. Nobody will let me play with them. Because she was experiencing rejection from 1st grade. I don't care if you're 6 years old or a 60-year-old man, the rejection feels the exact way. I mean, in your very first job, how long did it take you to figure out who you could ask questions to and who you were never going to ask another question to again? Seconds, right? They didn't say don't ask me questions. They just looked at you like you were stupid. And you thought, whoa, not going there again. You know, we're so sensitive. If I took a piece of hair and put it down, I could put literally 25 pieces of paper on top of it. My fingertips could still feel that piece of hair. Our emotions are that sensitive too. And they're not our weakness, they're our strength. Because when we come from our passion, that's when we have our power. Our love of our patience, right? The one thing that I didn't realize is that I didn't realize everybody had to be on the same page. I thought it was okay if some people weren't. It's like, you get some people on board and others not, but there's a ton of research, and one bad apple does spoil the whole bunch. If you work with 20 people and 19 of them are great, then you don't have a team. Because just one person, the discord for one person who doesn't do their fair share of the workload, or doesn't play by the same rules that everybody else does, undermines trust for the entire team. Think of an orchestra. We all have vibration, we all play a song, we all have a personality, we all have a role. It doesn't matter if it's the best orchestra in the world if you've got one instrument, right, that's not playing. So if there's somebody who's not on your team, then either get them on board or help them find a place where they can work in a team that is a better match. The next thing I didn't realize is how powerful our nonverbal gestures were. You walk into the room and you say an idea and somebody just rolls their eyes and all of a sudden, wow. Or you sigh. Or you pick up the assignment sheet one more time and you can tell because you were here yesterday already what kind of day it's going to be, right? But these nonverbal gestures are how we put people in their pecking order on the hierarchy. The first place to start is by creating this group, and you already are. A group that accepts and includes and everyone and every idea, right? There's power in that. So these overt and covert gestures are not okay. They're damaging. It doesn't matter who it is that does it or when. It's not, but we make excuses. Why do we make excuses? Because we're such caring individuals to begin with. Oh, she's having a hard day. Oh, her mother-in-law moved in with her. Oh, she's going through some family stuff. No. If you know that witnessing any rude behavior or any of these gestures impairs your ability to think, then it's not ethical to tolerate them, right? So where we start by protecting our patients is by not allowing any of these at all and by saying, I noticed that. That's all. Just call them out. A magician's apprentice once said to his master, Master, how do you take the power away from something? And the master replied, that's easy. You just call it by its name. These are horizontal hostility, and not a single one of them is okay for any reason in the world. It's not okay to always want to work with the same people, because every time you do that, then you reject other people, or vice versa. So what's needed is to be dauntless, not to be intimidated, fearless, intrepid. Where? In our everyday conversations, because these are the building blocks of our entire profession, in every situation. I walk into report, I open the door, I'm late, a couple minutes, and I can hear Margaret saying, Kathleen's such a slacker, she always dumps on the next shift, I hate following her. What's the professional response? You wait till report is over. Margaret, can I talk to you for a minute? When I opened the door, I heard you say I was a slacker and I dumped on the next shift. I was devastated when I heard you say that because there's no way I'd ever leave work intentionally for another nurse to do. I mean, I need to know about the things that you're finding. I can make it easy for you. Just write them down on the sticky if you can, but without the information that you have, I'll never be perceived as a team player and a good nurse. I can't get there without your support. Do you think you can do that? Wow. You're following a new nurse. She has a lot more experience. And all day long, she's ignoring you. All day long. Every attempt that you make to try to even catch up to her is thwarted. What do you say? You're brand new, and this is a nurse with years of experience. Excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute? I noticed today you felt bothered by my questions, and I felt in the way. I understand your workload is heavy, but when you ignore me, I feel unimportant, and I get the message that you wish I wasn't here. I really need to find some way or time to connect with you. If we can't do that, I can't learn and I can't stay. Can we set up a specific time to do that? You walk into your manager's office. They threw you one of those power plays, which is, oh, can I see you at the end of the shift today? Without telling you why. All day long you hear the rumble. Finally you open the door and it's like an animal walking into a trap. As soon as you see your manager's face, it's just like, wow, oh, look, there's the snare. What do? You sit down and say, as soon as I opened the door, I saw that your face was stern, your jaw was set, and it looks like you've made up your mind. That makes me feel anxious that the open dialogue I was planning on having with you just isn't going to happen. What I need you to do is please, update me, ask me questions before you jump to conclusions, because you're my manager and I need your support. So together we can get to the bottom of this. Can we do that? There's a vibration, there's an energy in people who speak this way. What is it? It's people who come from their power. It's their voice. What would this profession look like if we started saying what we thought to everyone? If we spoke our truth? Because I have never in my life, and believe me, I've had a lot of careers before nursing, these are the most intelligent people I have ever met in my entire life, and the most compassionate, all in one profession. Amazing. Amazing. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. So what I just demonstrated for you was a communication model. And I practiced. I practice when I have the difficult conversations, like when I'm writing up the night supervisor to the chief nurse because there's a relationship going on there. And I protect myself too. I go to the phone and I pick up the corporate compliance hotline and say, hi, this is Kathleen. I know you have a policy against retaliation in your hospital. I expect some retaliation shortly, so here's my name and phone number. Right? But learning this skill, the AACN standards say we have to be as competent in our communication skills as we are in our clinical skills. But are we? Do we test for it? Do we measure it? No. So this, I think, is one of the missing links. The other thing is that gray zone where you're not really sure whether you should say something or not. I didn't realize that ambiguity increases stress and decreases self-esteem. Either you're allowed to do something or you're not. Either it's okay to carry cell phones in an operating room or it's not, right? I mean, I brought all those 16 nurses in that surgery center back into the room and I said, I've only got one question for you. If that was your son on the table, would you have opened your mouth then? Because if that isn't the standard by which you deliver care, then you've lost the integrity of our profession. That has got to be our standard, right? Our standard. Researchers wanted to know, why do kids who graduate from Boys Town, USA make $20,000 more than other kids? It doesn't make sense, these are juvenile delinquents. So they went there and they studied them. And this is what they found out. There is no gray area. Things are black or white. Either something is allowed or it's not. And it's everyone's responsibility. Here's what they saw. A man's cutting the grass. Two boys are just wrestling on the front lawn. When all of a sudden, one of the boys cusses at the other boy. The man cutting the grass turns off the lawnmower, goes over to the boy who cursed and said, you have two choices. Do you want to go to the headmaster's alone, or shall I accompany you? It doesn't matter if his friend says, oh, he was only kidding. It doesn't matter if his friend says, we were only playing, I know he didn't mean it, because cussing is wrong. And their self-esteem is so high. So what we don't realize is when the rules aren't the same for everybody, when they're not clear with human beings, the stories, as I travel, break my heart because they're not professional. They're not what professionals, and they're beneath this profession because it's an amazing, amazing profession. So perhaps you are already dauntless. Perhaps you have all of your conversations. There's nobody you need to talk to, right? Then seek some feedback. Create the atmosphere. If we do not create, we don't create the conditions for people to come to us and give us feedback, then they're just going to talk about it. It's just not when we're there. They'll say something, but not to us. So one of the most professional things you can do is go back home and find the person you work with the most frequently and ask them, what do you like that I do well? And write down the answer. And then say, And what would you like to see more of? And write down that answer. Now, why am I asking you to write it down? Is it because you can't remember it? No. If you are working with this person all the time, then they know you, and they know that you've never asked this question before. But the other thing is that you're giving the person that you're asking the question to some time, some much needed time. And you're not being confrontive. You're not looking at them. Anything you need to see more of? No, I didn't think so. Okay, right? So if you write the answers down on the card, then you're going to give them some space. There are many reasons why we need nurses who have strong voices. And the number one reason, I guess, would be safety of our patients. And the next would be the health of our nation, which is dangerously getting worse all the time. For the first time in the history of the United States, our lifespan has decreased. Right now we know that there's almost 7 billion people breathing polluted air in the world. The murders in the United States are 10%. Loneliness has increased from 20 to 45%. 5 million extreme gamers. Digital media addictions are prevalent. You know, plastic in the fish, diabetes at 3. It goes on and on. A third of the nation obese. So we need dauntless nurses to keep our patients safe, to have the tough conversations that bond our teams, and to heal Americans. And then the last reason I want to propose to you is to preserve humanity. What? To preserve humanity? What does that have to do with anything? When we're with our patients at the bedside, there is an exchange of energy. What we need with our patients is time. As the length of stay has decreased and the acuity has increased, we have less and less and less of that time with our patients, right? I go in for surgery last year. They checked my arm down again and again and again and again, and I'm comforted at first. And not when the circulating nurse came in. The next time she picked it up, and it was just the way she lifted my arm up and looked at my band that really rubbed me the wrong way. She said, "And you are?" And I looked at her and said, "I am 95253." For a minute she went, "Oh, okay." You see, it doesn't really matter who I am. It doesn't remember she remembers my name. As long as I'm the right number in the Jiffy Lube of healthcare, we can get them in and get them out in our lean, efficient model that we have. But sadly, if nurses, you know, the real question, what are ratios and acuity? When we look at that, one CEO said to me the other day was, "I'm going to buy an acuity model." And I'm like, why bother? Just ask the nurses what it is. "Well, what's the scale?" I said, "They'll tell you. They'll make it up and they'll tell you. They've always known. That's how we do our assignments all the time. We're not going to give anybody the tough patients. We all have an informal system and it works. And people's needs change so frequently that there's not a system in the world that you could purchase that would match the accuracy of any nurse on the floor." But the real question, as we fight back and forth, is why? And don't forget this. Why does the nurse who can titrate a dopamine drip, run an ACLS code, save patients' life, why is she not, or he, not smart enough to know how many nurses they need for the next shift? So don't forget that our ratios are putting a pressure wound on the bleeding that's happening right now, because nobody else is doing anything about it. But the real surgery, the real healing that has to happen is, I can't wait to come back here and visit with you on the day when every nurse gets to decide themselves how many nurses they need, right? We know our work. We know what the staffing is. So what do you think what would happen if I could wave a magic wand and all nurses starting tomorrow morning would staff the unit as they saw was needed? Every hospital would go out of business, right? So be careful, it's not the hospital, it's our system. We created a system, a fee-for-service system, right? right? It's our culture. I was trying to look for a picture that best described what nursing was. Remember that one? Right? So at no time do we get to stop the conveyor belt. We clock in, work, and 2010 was the last shift I worked as a per diem nurse. 2008 was the last time I ate a meal. I quickly learned that it's not gonna, you're not gonna digest it anyway, right? So I just put an energy bar in there with at least 20 grams of protein, carry a Gatorade, that's all you can get. But that's the truth of what they're asking us to do. So what happens when you speak your truth and respectfully say, I cannot safely take another patient. I cannot safely take another patient, right? If we don't have some kind of a bar, they're always going to be asking us for more, right? Until we can say stop. But we will really stand in our power when we have autonomy. When we charge for our services. Maybe we should just create our own hospitals, right? Right? Okay. So this says, in case of fire, exit the building before tweeting about it. I just put this up because I don't think we can minimize the impact of technology on our patients. Has technology given you more time with your patients? No, then it's failed. Period. As far as I'm concerned. So, have you heard the metaphor of the river? One day, a nurse was walking in the forest and she heard somebody screaming. She ran to the river and there was somebody who was broken and bleeding, so she helped them out of the river. And no sooner did she do that, and somebody else was yelling, and so she helped that person out of the river. Then there were more people, so she called for other nurses and they came. Then the injuries were more serious and she called for the doctors. Days turned into weeks, turned into months, turned into decades. And the doctors and nurses every day, 24/7, just kept pulling people out of the river. And then one day, without any warning, like a swarm of swallows, every single solitary nurse stands up, turns around in unison, and leaves. The doctors panic. The doctor yells, "Come back! You can't leave us here. You gotta help us. Where are you going?" And the very last nurse turns around and says, "We're gonna go see who's throwing these people down the river." Right? So how do we do that? How do we go see who's throwing people down the river? Call it what it is. Speak your truth with confidence. We have to protect each other. Don't ever listen while somebody's talking about your colleague, no matter what the situation. Nothing about me without me. Actively seek feedback. And then the reason that I'm so excited about being here is because you guys are what we call in complexity theory, the very first nursing swarm. You're swarming. You're coming together born of a passion and a purpose like none other. If I take a computer and I want to put into that computer to generate a swarm, I have to put in three things: the direction we're going, the velocity or the speed, and the distance from each other. And that's what we're doing right now. What is the direction that we're going? To protect our patients. Each and every one of you, right? What is the velocity or speed? It's our passion, our energy, our need to protect them and keep them safe, and each other. And the distance from each other are the conversations that we can have or we should be having, and we haven't had yet, so that we can protect our patient. And these pictures that I'm going to close with are the pictures from the American Journal of Nursing's award, What is Nursing? All of these are nursing. And I have never, ever been more proud to belong to any other profession than this one. And my last thought I'd like to leave with you is this. You might not think that what you do matters, or whether you go back and have your conversation matters or not. Boy, it does. Researchers in Africa couldn't figure out why this herd always went to the correct watering hole. Every single solitary spring there was water in only the watering hole to the north or the west, not both. Yet every year for 200 years, the animals would always go to the correct watering hole. So they set up cameras to try to watch them. They thought the guy with all the antlers was going to be the one who led the way, but that's not what happened. Let's just say there were 40 in the pack. As soon as 20 were facing west, as soon as the 21st deer faced west, they all went together. Who was Claudette Colvin or Mary Louise Smith? Their names will never go down in the history's book because they were the 19th and 20th deer. And Rosa Parks was 21. But people before her had done the same thing. And you have seen people before me all day long who have stood up and stood for what is right. So you might be the second deer, you might be the 5th or the 10th, but when half of us can get to a point when the patient matters more than anything else, and we stand in our power with conviction and our dauntless, then our patients will be safe. Thank you.